Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome back to Pile of Potential Hobbies. It is a wet, rainy, soaking day here in South Mississippi on this nice Sunday morning. I guess it's nice if you're into that kind of weather, but yeah, it's a wet one. But coming back here to you with a hobby update. I was able to get my halflings finished. I'm very excited with the way they turned out. Very pleased with them. They were a ton of fun to paint. The detail was crisp. And as I've said with Paul Hicks sculpts in the past, there's a lot of detail, but not an overwhelming amount of detail like you may get on, say, like newer GW Games Workshop miniatures, where there's a lot of detail and it can feel overwhelming, especially to look at, and but especially to paint, to where you don't want to mess with it. These, it's like it's that perfect amount. Mr. Hicks has absolutely found that sweet spot with his sculpting. But yeah, got them painted up. Haven't started on anything else, or anything primed, or worked on anything else. I got the dwarfs finished. They're all packed away. I got to get them to my buddy. See about us hanging out so I can get those off to him. Yeah. So without further ado, let me show you the models. Up first is this guy with the serrated sword. I went with a red for my cultists. I'll show you why on a model, but the red just looks sinister. It's an evil look when you see somebody in red robes, red cultist robes like this. You know they're up to no good. And it just looks really good, and you just know what they are when you see them on the table, so you don't have to have them up close. You know that, hey, red cultist robes, these guys are gotta be stopped. I went with contrast paints, as I usually do on everything but the metallics. Still not 100% sold on the Army Painter Speed Paint metallics that I have, on just how they do. I've got to work with them some more just to see maybe if I'm using them wrong, or I'm not shaking them up well enough, or whatever the case may be. But I went with speed paints, and then I went over with a non-oil wash. And the only things I highlighted on the cultists that I highlighted back up was the skin. So I don't know how well that shows up on camera, but I highlighted the hands and faces, and I think I may have left the toes alone, I'm not sure. But there's the first guy. Up next is the guy with what I'm calling ceremonial daggers. I went with black, mainly because I had black out. I didn't have a copper color out like I had talked about doing. But maybe they're made from obsidian or some kind of a meteorite or something. Some kind of mystery stone that's black. I figured that was more sinister, more evil, I guess. But there's that one. I've already varnished these guys with a matte varnish, and this guy is my favorite out of the cultists because I'm incredibly happy with the way the book turned out. I went with a gloss varnish on the tentacles coming out of the book to give them like that slimy appearance without having to put any kind of like slime effects or anything on them. And they're shiny. I didn't want them to be dirty per se. There's more detail there, like the sucker cups on the tentacles that I could have painted a different color, but I figured just an all blue, and I kind of did a little less on my brush, so it's like a lighter blue. It's a little thinned out. Same thing with the greens and such, but I went with like I said, a gloss varnish on the book to give it that slimy, icky, gross appearance. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way this guy turned out. I'm really happy with the way all of them turned out. I know I say that every week, but every time I do one of these videos, but I'm just super happy. And then the guy with the spear. prodding along whatever or whoever's being sacrificed. And the Nuln Oil with the contrast paints, I think, did really well. It gave more shadow in those recesses, and it also darkened up the roads enough to where it's like, hey, these aren't fresh, these aren't clean roads. But they're not dirty in the same way that like an Agrax over it would have looked, giving it that brown, darker look. But they're dirty roads, maybe from who knows what. But that's the 4 cultists. Really happy, like I said, with the way they turned out. I've got to base them up. I think I'm going to do some Astro Granite from Citadel for them to fit in with my Frostgrave models. Because that would be where I would I could use them. Also, it just kind of fits in as like a cave or a tunnel look that's not cobblestone on the base. So using them for RPGs, like for D&D and stuff like that, because one of the Halfling Witch Hunters is going to be the next character I play when I play Dungeons and Dragons. So up first is this. I'm going to call him an assistant witch hunter because he doesn't have a sword drawn. And his outfit isn't as done up as the other guys. But, yeah. I went with mostly black, as you can tell, and dark leather colors, with the exception of I used hardened leather speed paint from the Army Painter. It's fantastic leather color. I used it. That's the brighter color you see for the leather on the straps. His sword is still sheathed. I had to make that handle out of a piece of metal. I don't know if you haven't seen previous video where I discussed these guys. I had to cut off a piece of the slotted base part that these guys came on. Cut it off and glue it on there and paint it up. I think it looks fine. It looks like a sword handle. So it looks like how it's supposed to. Up next is the Halfling Rogue or Thief. Sneaking in maybe to steal the book that the cultists have or some treasure or something somewhere. He would also be a fun character to play in D&D. Then the Priest. Really happy with the way he turned out, with the way the skin turned out. I was kind of worried about painting that bald head, how it would look. I didn't want it to look cartoonish, but I think it turned out really well. So, in his book, I did the books with the same color covers. If that shows up. Just to, maybe they're from the same series of books, or they were transcribed or translated to the same place, whatever the case may be, to give them some similarity there. Maybe one book is evil and one is not evil. I won't say it's good, I'll just say it's not evil. But I didn't do any writing or anything in either one of the books. This one, there's really no room on the pages. And this one, I just didn't. I may go back later and do it. Probably won't, but do some kind of writing or symbols or something like that. But I went with the Black Cossack for this guy. It's a little more patchy. It's not solid black. It's got some thinner parts and everything in it. With a white, actually Wraithbone from Citadel edges. And I think it looks really good. It goes with the Witch Hunters, but also you can tell him apart as a priest. And then this guy is my favorite model out of all 8. Really happy with the way he turned out. Again, the Wraithbone on his vest, tunic, jerkin thing, with dark, for the most part, dark leather colors with the mixture of some lighter leather colors. But yeah, I didn't highlight the metallics back up on these guys, on any of them, because I figured they wouldn't have the most the Cultus especially wouldn't have like the most well maintained or ornamented, if I can say that, weaponry. And for the Witch Hunters, they're going with use over, or practicality over style. They're well maintained, well taken care of, but they're not going to be shiny, ornamental. I mean, he's got a gold guard and pommel, and hilt, but that's just to show off his position, his rank, as more so than ornamentation. But yeah, really, really happy with the way this guy turned out. He's my favorite. And got good trigger discipline there. His finger's not on the trigger. But that's what I've worked on. And gotten finished. Really happy with that. 8 miniatures. They were a lot of fun to do. They didn't really take very long to do, just a few hours. I worked on them a little bit throughout the week, and mainly yesterday and Friday is when I got the work done on them. I may base them up today. Like I said, I'm going to use some Astra Granite from Citadel, just because it gives that nice gray, cavey, tunnely, underground kind of look. So I may do that today as my hobbying, because I've got plans for dinner this evening, so going to the in-laws as we do every Sunday, so I'm not going to have all day to do hobbying, even though I wish I could. But I think what's going to come up next, I think what's coming up next, I'm not exactly sure. I've got some more lists for the Barons War that I want to make up, that I need to make up models for. So some spearmen with shields mainly is what I've got to make up, and some archers. Excuse me. I'll make up probably 6 of both, and then paint them up in my Teutonic Knights color schemes for the sergeants, for the half-brothers. I need to finish up this guy. Just go ahead and get him taken care of and finished and out of the way. There's not a lot left to do on it. I've still got to get some base coats and stuff, but like, there's not a lot left to do that'll take super long with this guy. So, got to get him finished up. I also got to finish building my Bretonnians now that my buddy's dwarfs are finished. I'll work on my Bretonnians with the 1 unit I have left, and maybe we can start getting some games of that in, some games of the old world. That would be really cool. Learn how to play that as it's in its 2nd year, you know, a new edition, more than likely, with the way GW does their editions on a 3-year rotation, probably a new edition of the old world coming out sometime next year, if I had to guess. So that means working on this guy some more. I haven't touched him, except maybe the wood, since the last time I showed it off. But it's my Royal Duke, or Duke on Royal Pegasus, something like that. Doing Mousillon, so I've got to finish with the black. I want to do quartered black and yellow on the Pegasus and the Rider on the Knight, the Duke himself. So I've got to do that. I don't know what color I want to paint the Pegasus. Probably going to go with gray, because that'll just be a nice neutral color to go along with the yellow and black, but won't blend in with the black. So that's what I'm thinking for the horse. Yeah, so got some more of that to work on. But that's it from me, guys. You'll see what I got finished. Hopefully next week I'll be able to show some stuff off. Even more than likely, if it's just stuff that I've built, I'll show it off and do a shorter update. It's probably how I'm going to do that from now on. I've got some sprue reviews coming up. I ordered some stuff from Sprue Dude, a great resource here in the United States if you need just some sprues. So I'll have another review or two coming up for that, for those videos. But I'm probably going to try to do just a hobby update every week, every Sunday, whether it just be stuff I've painted or painted and built, or what I'm thinking about working on next, or if it's, if the only thing I show off is like, hey, this is what I got built this week. And it'd just be a short hobby update. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. But like I said, that's it from me, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you've made it this far into the video. I really appreciate it. Most of you don't. I appreciate it. I like to see the channel grow. And, the more you interact with it, and this is with any YouTuber's video, the more the algorithm pushes it and it gets out there to bigger audiences and newer people. So that's really cool. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.